So we are the Hallmarkies podcast, and we want to wish you all a happy Memorial Day. We hope that you are having a really fun holiday with your families and friends. And we decided to give you a little fun bonus podcast that you can listen to on this holiday. And so I'm Rachel, and Amber's here.
Hi, everybody.
And Amber, why don't you explain a little bit what we're going to do here on this podcast?
Yes. So in honor of Memorial Day, we decided to do review a collection of Hallmark movies that celebrate servicemen and women, or at least have a servicemen and women theme. So we thought that would be fun, and we're pretty excited with our choices.
Yeah. So we're going to cover 5 movies, 4 in more detail than others, and it's going to be pretty fun. So, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on all of these movies, and also if you have any others that we didn't cover that you'd like to send a shout out to, let us know on Twitter or in the comments, and that would be great. So, all right. The first one we're going to talk about is called Operation Cupcake. And this movie is about a colonel in the army that he comes home from his tour, and he's on like a 2-month leave. His wife runs this cupcake bakery, and he decides to help out at the cupcakery, and at the same time he's like trying to figure out whether he wants to take the promotion that he thinks he's going to get to become a general, or whether he wants to leave the service. And it stars Dean Cain and Kristy Swanson, and Kristy Swanson's character is also working with this investor and trying to open up a second store, and sort of shenanigans occur. And so Amber, what was your overall thoughts about this movie?
I thought it was pretty fun. Mm-hmm. It was honestly nice to see a relationship of like a husband and a wife who are just married and like maybe have some fights, but aren't like on the brink of getting divorced the whole time and then fall in love, or like aren't a new couple who's falling in love. So that it's kind of something we don't really get to see a lot on Hallmark, but I liked that. I think this is a better pairing for them than Winter's Dream. But that being said, I don't know. I felt like Kristy Swanson's character was a little much for me, not gonna lie. And I felt like Dean Cain, for the most part, was doing a really great job of being like a guy just trying to adjust to civilian life, and they're like, we're not even going to give you a week, boy. You're in trouble, whatever. But for the most part, I really liked it. A lot of the jokes played pretty well for me. So
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty close with you on this one. So Dean Cain, he's been in Winter's Dream, which I was not a fan of. And you weren't on that podcast, so we don't. So you didn't care for it.
It was not my fave.
Yeah. I did not like it really at all. And they do have better chemistry in this one than in that, which is usually the reverse. I feel like usually it's the second pair up that they have better chemistry, but I don't know. I just didn't like Winter's Dream. And, but anyway, Dean Cain, he has been in a bunch of these, Broadcasting Christmas, A Wish Come True, Case for Christmas, and The 3 Gifts, are his, so I guess he's done all Christmas ones except for this one and Winter's Dream. So, I mean, he's pretty believable as one of these lifetime army guys, and believable enough, I think. And I agree with you that it is nice to see an established relationship story as opposed to going back to the high school boyfriend or, these other stories that we see all the time. It's kind of nice to throw in, a story about a marriage, and they do struggle. At a certain point, he gets kind of jealous because of this investor guy that it turns out he was kind of right in his jealousy, and I kind of wish that they hadn't done that. I think it would have been more interesting if like the guy had just proved to be just like a normal nice guy, and like he had been overreacting, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of more interesting than like, oh yeah, he was right to be jealous because the guy's really skeevy and was interested in her, tried to kiss her, but I actually didn't mind Kristy Swanson in this. She was fine, I thought. She I mean, the shenanigans at the cupcakery are definitely way over the top, you know, like,
yeah.
um,
And like, it does not make sense for Kristy Swanson to be like, okay, well, I don't have enough staff or people to handle my one cupcake store, but I'm making a second one. And husband, you just have to basically be in charge of this cupcake store with some very minimal training.
yeah.
The end.
Well, yeah, I mean, she would definitely put that baker lady who was super catty, she would put her in charge, you know, while she's going to be gone just for a day or something. Like, I think rather than like her husband who's just trying to get, you know, back into the swing of things and has never worked retail in his life, I assume. So yeah, that was a little, I thought that the movie got a little boring in the middle. But that's when sort of all the cupcake shenanigans were happening. Yeah. But I thought it ended on a really sweet note. And then I think it started on kind of a sweet note. And overall I was like, oh, that was nice. It was pleasant. Not one I would like want to buy or anything like that, but yeah, it was pretty good. Kristy Swanson has been in 2 other Hallmark movies, Winter's Dream and A Christmas Wish.
Yeah. Kristy Swanson will always be, to me, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, Dean Cain will always be super mad to me. No matter all these movies. So how many crowns did you give Operation Cupcake?
I gave it a straight up 3 crowns.
Yeah.
It was just there for me, but not in like a bad way, just there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to give a 3.25, so we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Basically the same on this one. Yeah, so there you go, Operation Cupcake. Next one that we're going to talk about is For Love and Honor. Mm-hmm. And this is basically, you have this Army veteran played by James Denton, and everybody knows how much I love James Denton. And he is very dreamy, I think. And he's very dreamy in this. And he is this, you know, he's by the books. He's strict, like an Army kind of man. And he goes to work at this military school. And the dean at the military school is like very free thinker and like does yoga on the lawn and stuff like that. And of course they like spar at first, but then they end up, you know, opposites attract or whatever. And he ends up trying to kind of get this school into shape by having this medal ceremony that kind of got abandoned. And but she's like super resistant to everything that he does. And then his daughter wants to drop out of school. And so that's basically like the plot. I don't know. What did you think of this one?
I didn't like it a lot. James Denton was pretty great in this, and I think the bratty kids at the school were fine. Mm-hmm. She drove me bananas.
Yeah.
Everything she said was just like, you are so the worst. Yeah. And like, she just hates him because he's like military guy. It's a military school. Like, what does she expect? And what do the parents they're like, the reason why enrollment is down in this military academy is because you're running it like some weird commune, lady. Like, people send their kids to military academies for like the structure, the tradition, the rules, like. And she was like, I don't even care if the kids make their beds. I'm like, no, they have to make their beds. It's the rules.
Yeah, I didn't like this movie. I liked James Denton tons and tons, but I really struggle with some of those plot things that you're talking about. I thought that it was very unrealistic that the school would even hire this woman. I mean, it's a military school, and you're like, it's so bizarre that you have a military man being made to look like he's somehow this like fascist dictator or something. Yeah. But like, for doing his job. Like, why did you want him? Why did you hire him if you didn't want it to be done this way? You know, like it really annoyed me, and she annoyed me. And I thought that I can't imagine anybody being happy with the output of this school and being happy with all these kids were supposedly like disciplinary problems, and that's why they're sent to this school.
Yeah, that's why they send them to these schools.
And so, like, I just don't see these kind of kids being like, yes, missus, we're going to sit down and do yoga now. Like that, I don't see that happening with these kind of kids. And I don't know, like I just found it kind of boring because I just didn't buy any of the characters or the premise or.
Yeah. He was handsome and charming as always.
Yes.
He was right about everything, pretty much. So, like, he did a great job, but.
Yeah, even the stuff with his daughter, I'm like, no, she shouldn't drop out of school to find herself. Like, finally, by the end, she was like, okay, I have a plan. I'm going to go to do a year of schooling in Rome, and then I'm going to come back. And then, like, she wasn't just going to, like, go around and, you know, like, I can understand for a summer. I can understand for even a semester, not a whole year. Like, you're just going to be, like, hanging around Europe. Like, no. And, I mean, I guess unless you're independently wealthy, then sure, I guess. But, like, even then, go do something with your life. Like,
no, you know, I'm fine with people taking off a year from school and stuff. Like, that's a very European thing to do. It's, you know, a gap year, basically. And I wish we had gap year. That would be amazing. But, like, even the gap years that people have in Europe, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go take naps for a year. Most of the time they go do some sort of, like a missionary assignment or go work in a charity in some other part of the country, or they like go backpacking on a tour so they can see as much of Europe as possible. And like, it's just whatever. There were just a lot of things that I just did not love about this show.
Yeah, I agree. That's why when you were like, I liked it a lot, and I'm like, really?
No, I said James Denton went a long way.
Yeah. He is super, super charming. And he does look very good in uniform. He really does. Yeah, so.
And I also did enjoy that the principal lady's secretary is his receptionist from The Good Witch. I was like, ha ha ha. That was fun for me, but that has nothing to do with this movie. It just exists.
Yes. So James Denton obviously is in The Good Witch, but he's also in a movie called Stranded in Paradise, which is actually, I think, really fun. I like that one. And then Natalie Brown, she's in Be My Valentine, which I'm not a fan of, and in Cancel Christmas and Fairfield Road.
Honestly, I don't remember those names of those movies. I'm sure I've seen them because I'm pretty sure I've seen like at least 98% of the Hallmark movies that have ever existed.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't know off the top of my head what they are.
Be My Valentine has Billy Baldwin in it.
And
then
one's not great.
Fairfield Road has Jesse Metcalfe in it, who is your favorite. I just didn't like, she's fine as an actress, but like, I just didn't like her character. And I mean, I don't think there's anything like amazing she could have done to like make the character work. It just wasn't a very believable character. And it wasn't believable that this school would hire her and that it would, I don't know, like what kind of weird military school is this?
No.
So how many crowns did you give this one?
I gave it 2.5 crowns. Which is, I think, more than you. But, it might be because it was the first one I watched. But I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
It's 1.5 crowns just for James Denton.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not like married to my 2.5, but that's what I gave it, so I'm sticking with it.
Fair enough. Then next we have All for Love. This was from last year. And this is a romance novelist that played by Sarah Rue. She's struggling to finish her book. And it's this romance novel about this Navy SEALs man. So her publisher teams her up with the publisher's brother, who is an ex-Navy SEAL, played by Steve Bassick, and he puts her through this boot camp. And as at first they're really, really different. She's like the creative writing type, and she's been like kind of had a rocky romantic life, and he's kind of shy. And but first they kind of spar off, and but then they get to know each other through all this, and they end up falling in love, and it's super cute. And I really like this movie. I don't know, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I really like it. It's pretty fun. There are some things that I don't super love about this movie. But I mean, I like just like a lot of her like, at the very beginning is a little over the top for me. Like when she shows up to her army training and is all like, and not taking it seriously, and she like shows up in like a poofy vest and like pink stuff. Like, I don't know, just some of that over the top I'm so stupid thing drive me crazy. Especially when like she starts the show not super likable for me, I'm not gonna lie. Because she just is over the top like stupid / rude. And it's kind of hard for me to even think that the guy would like her when she starts out that way. But she does grow and get better, but it's a little less high than it would be if I didn't get so irritated by her at the beginning.
Interesting. Yeah, that didn't really bother me. They kind of, she's sort of irritated because he dumps coffee all over her, and she's supposed to be sort of like this independent woman. Like she doesn't want him to like open the door for her and stuff like that. And so I don't know, they kind of get off on the wrong foot. And I got the impression, I guess, with the clothes and stuff that she had been, that she didn't know exactly what she was going to, was kind of what I thought. I didn't think that was like a choice that she was making to go to this. I think she
and then even when she's wearing all of her like fatigues kind of stuff, and she's standing in line with the rest of the cadets, she's super like jokey about it, and I just feel like that's kind of disrespectful to like the other cadets. And like I said, she does get over it, but I don't love that part at the beginning.
Interesting. Well, anyway, yeah. So I kind of like the fact that you have this guy, Steve Bassick, who's usually a villain in these movies. But he is kind of a rough guy, but then he's also like super sweet, and he's kind of shy and awkward, I feel, in a way that not a lot of these leading men are. I love the ending when he writes this, he goes to her house to try to tell, because she sees him with this ex of his. She thinks they're a couple. They're not a couple. They have this miscommunication. Anyway, and he goes to her house and tries to tell her how he feels, but he can't do it. He just doesn't have the, and I thought that was like kind of human and kind of like, I don't know, I'm just used to these like big romantic gestures. And so this was actually like the fact he couldn't do it, I thought was interesting. And so then he writes her this letter, which I love when characters write letters, back to Untitled, like that's so great. And she reads the letter, and then she wants to go after him. She's like, I can't believe like I am the one person that would be like, I write all these romance novels and I'm going to be rushed into the airport. And and also she I think a lot of the humor really works. I think a lot of the humor in the training is really funny. Also like him trying to do yoga is hilarious, I think.
Yeah.
And also I think it's a really sweet, different kind of cute date scene, because I love like cute date scenes in these movies. And when he teaches her how to swim, that's like a romantic, like, I think sweet moment that I like. And I think they have pretty good chemistry, would you say, by the end?
Yeah, I think they do. And I mean, the movie really is pretty great, but aside from like, she starts so low for me that it kind of drags down the movie, but she gets back up to a good place. It's just, I don't know. I just have a problem with the beginning part.
I can see what you mean. I didn't have that problem, but I can see what you mean. So this was Sarah Rue's Hallmark debut. So I hope she does more. I hope she had a good experience.
I hope so too. She's amazing.
And Steve Bassick, like you said, he's been in a bunch of the garage sale mysteries. He was in A Joyous Christmas. He was the villain in that. A Christmas to Remember, The Bridge, When Calls the Heart, and Nearly Weds he was in.
Yeah, and he's great. I am like not 100% certain, but like 98% certain they used the pictures they took while they were making this movie of him being the Navy SEAL as the dead dad in that Catherine Bell movie from Christmas.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Yeah, the Home for Christmas Day. I think you're right. I think they do use the picture in Home for Christmas Day, which is hilarious. And but that scene is kind of ridiculous. It's fine. I think it's cute enough, but because it's like funny to see him like awkward and uncomfortable and out of place, but like the idea that like these publishers would not know the difference between a Marine Corps outfit and a Navy SEAL when they're doing a photo shoot is probably a little far-fetched, but
I don't know that that's that far-fetched. Really? Like, let's be real.
Research that if you were doing a photo shoot for a book that's going to go out to like a mass press. Like, this is not a self-publishing. Like, this
would not surprise me if that happened in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, because I remember Fiona was telling us that like even the lipstick colors in the Hallmark movies, like every little detail is like planned and everybody, and so I would think it'd be basically the same with like a photo shoot for the cover of a book that's going to get like a huge run.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, this was definitely a really fun one. And I think it aired Memorial Day weekend last year, right?
Oh yeah, it's not branded with anything, so it was just a middle thing, and it premiered May 27th.
Yeah, so on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. So how many crowns would you give this
one? Do you think it's totally bogus that this year for Memorial Day they're just like doing marathons of just random movies?
Yeah, well, and like really random, because I mean I love Parent Trap, but it's like that was kind of random. They threw that one in there.
Like, yeah, hooray, the Parent Trap's amazing, but also why?
Yeah, it's like they just like, I don't know, went on a like Amazon Prime and just like a shuffle or something like that.
It honestly feels like, how there's like the NBA draft, like somebody just traded them the Parent Trap for a movie and they were like, well, we have to use it.
Right.
It's just such an odd placement. Whatever.
Agreed. Yeah. So how many crowns did you give this one? Oh, wait, probably say. So Tara Rothery, I think, is really good as the sister/boss.
Yeah.
And I think she does a good job of feeling like believable as the boss, but then also feeling believable as the sister. Like she does a good job. And she's been in a ton of these movies.
Yeah, she's so great every time she's in, and I like when she's in them. So
yeah, she's in Christmas Getaway, Brummelhouse Christmas, Stop the Wedding, Dater's Handbook, Cedar Cove, My Boyfriend's Dogs, The Wishing Tree, and Battle of the Bulbs. So she's all over the place. But anyway, how many crowns would you give All for Love?
I gave it 3.2 crowns.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'd give it like 4.5. I really like it.
You love it. You love it.
I think it's really funny, and I think they have great chemistry, and I just like all the sweet little moments. And so there you go. Okay, so then the next one we're going to talk about is Meet My Mom. And so basically this movie, I think was made in 2010, but this movie is about a little boy who is told in class to write to the soldiers serving in Afghanistan. And so he writes a letter, and this soldier gets it, and who's actually in Bosnia, but he's going to be coming home pretty soon. His name is Vince. And also the boy's mother had just moved his family in with their grandma. Mm-hmm. And so he's had this divorce and this move to deal with. So Vince ends up coming back home, and he ends up finding the boy who wrote him the letter, and they become friends. And then he gets to know the mother, and they start to date, and their relationship and everything like that. So this stars Lori Loughlin as the mother. And of course we know her well from When Calls the Heart and Garage Sale Mysteries, Every Christmas Has a Story, North Pole Open for Christmas is one she's been in. And then it also stars Johnny Mesner. as the soldier, and Stephanie Powers plays her mother. So she's in Love by the Book, Ring by Spring, and Reading, Writing, and Romance. So what were your overall thoughts about this one?
I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't go so far as to say I loved it, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think their chemistry between Lori Loughlin and Johnny Mesmer, is that his name?
Yeah.
Is pretty great. I thought he was very believable as like a soldier guy. And I like that the relationship didn't start, like they don't even like see each other until well into the movie. So I like that it really was just mostly about like this kid developing a relationship with like the pen pal thing and establishing her finding a new career, and then he comes into their lives, and it's not like, oh, I love your mom so I'm going to be your friend, which is a lot of what happens in these movies. It was like, well, I just want to help you learn how to play ball, kid. I don't know. I just thought it was really sweet. And I love that it clearly took us through like a long period of time in their relationship. So at the end where they, break up for a minute, you actually feel really bad for them, because it's not just like, oh, I've known you for 5 minutes. It was months. We had like 4 montages in the middle of their relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah. I was thinking about that I feel like in the past, Hallmark did more movies where you saw like a complete relationship, like everything from meet cute all the way to them either proposal or marriage or whatever. Even something like the 7-Year Hitch or Elevator Girl. I was thinking that shows their whole relationship from the minute they meet all the way through ups and downs, backwards, forwards, everything like that. I mean, there's lots of examples, but I don't know, it just made me realize that we hardly ever, I was trying to think of the last time that we saw something like that was like a whole extended relationship. Can you even think of anything?
I mean, the closest we ever come is when we have these movies where the people dated as kids and then got back together, and we get some sort of a prequel. But even then, these movies never span more than 3 weeks. And frankly, I don't know if a relationship's going to make it after 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I kind of miss that. I wish they would go back to it at least just every once in a while, just to keep things interesting, kind of, shake things up a little bit. It seems like, I don't know, occasionally you might, I can't even think of anything. I cannot think of a single one where you get that kind of like extended real relationship for more than just like a summer or Christmas or whatever. And so I don't know, that I think is really nice about this movie. And I agree. I think they do have a really nice chemistry. I think the boy is actually pretty good. Like he's not cloying or like, he's a pretty cute kid actor, I would say, but not like too cute. So he's annoying cute. He does a good job. And I think the Stephanie Powers is pretty good as the, kind of, you always have to have sort of, whether it's a grandma or a best friend or, somebody like that in this type of movie. And, and he also has a friend of his at the Army who's, kind of fun, best friend, and that's also there. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I also forgot to say that, so he was married, and his wife couldn't handle the separation and left him for another. So he has like all these insecurities, and she's obviously just been through a divorce, so she has all these insecurities. And so, like usually in the Hallmark movies, these kind of characters are widows, and so 2 divorced people is kind of unusual, I feel like.
Yeah.
Too. So anyway, there you go. So how many crowns would you give this one?
I gave it 3.75 crowns.
Yeah, I'm pretty close, I think, on this one too. I think I'll give it the same, 3.75 crowns. It was solid. It was entertaining. It got a little languid in spots, but it was one I would definitely like recommend if somebody was like, what's a solid one that that's not a Christmas one. It might be one that I would put on a list that I think a lot of people would like. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Okay, so the last one we're going to talk about is one I'm just going to talk about because I like to showcase on this podcast when I can that there is some diversity to the Hallmark world. In things
And I pretend the movies that are sad don't exist.
And so there's this movie called Duke, and I think actually I do think if you did watch it, you would probably say, this is not my brand, but for what it is well done. I think you would say that. I really do. But anyway, I'll just talk about it because this movie is about this. Like, this is a very unusual movie for Hallmark. It's a true story based on this man who came back from the war and had terrible PTSD, terrible. He could not handle even like people clapping or anything, like horrible. And this family gets this dog named Duke who becomes very attached to, and he finally he feels like he's like dragging down his family, and he just gets this really dark spot, and he actually like abandons his family. And so then there's like this time jump, and he's like homeless, and he's just like, this dog is just like everything to him, this dog. And I don't know how they got this dog to like, I don't know, this dog was amazing. And the dog is really not doing well. And so this one day he leaves the dog on a bench in front of a veterinarian's with this letter explaining who he is and how much this dog means to him. And they decide, because he's like, he leaves him there, and they're going to put the dog under. And I know I'm laughing because it was just really sad. And
you laugh to keep from crying. I know.
Right. And anyway, and so he thinks the dog is gone, and it's so sad, and but the veterinarian is getting all of this like hassle from this corporate people trying to get her to save money. But she sees this dog, and she's like, no, this dog does not need to die. We're going to take care of the dog. And so she like does surgery on the dog, and like she rehabilitates. So then most of the movie is about them trying to find the dog and bring him back to this man. Mm-hmm. And they end up meeting his daughter, who now is like a grown woman about to have a baby. And she has all these like conflicted thoughts about her father, obviously, like you would have. And but she sees the dog, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's my dad's dog. That's, anyway. And so she goes, and Martin Cummings is in this movie from One Calls the Heart, and he's really good. He kind of puts everybody together. Because he meets the daughter, and he figures out, oh, that you're looking for my friend. And when they meet, it felt like really authentic, actually. Like, what this movie does that's so good is that it avoids like big, like sweeping, like kind of moments. Like, I thought pretty well, actually. Like, and when he meets the dog again, I was bawling. Like, it was really sad, and like sad, happy, sad. Because I don't know, they just earned it. They really did a good job. And Steven Weber plays the dad, or Weber, or I don't know how you say his name. He plays the owner of the dog, and he's really good. And I felt like the reunion of the daughter and his character was like pretty realistic. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like, she's obviously like has all these conflicted feelings, but she's like wants him to help find the dog. But like, and he's kind of nervous because he doesn't want to hurt her anymore. And so he's kind of hesitant to, and she finally asked him, like, why did you do what you did? And so, he tries to just explain that, like, basically he just couldn't do it. Like, he couldn't emotionally deal with it. And I couldn't believe that they said that there are 75,000 homeless people on the streets of LA, and this was at the time or whatever, and that half are veterans. That was really shocking. I don't know. I would not have thought it would be half. I don't know. That was interesting to me. And anyway, and so you also, this veteran, trying to keep just progressing to do the right thing and to help this dog. And so it stars, it has Sarah Smythe, who was in When It Goes the Heart and Christmas Getaway and The Mistletoe Promise. And then Allison Hossack, who was in Christmas in Angel Falls and The Good Witch and Flower Shop Mystery and Mum's the Word and Battle of the Bulbs. So really, this is like the episode for Battle of the Bulbs, because there's a bunch of people have been in it, in that movie. But I actually think that if you're open for this kind of story, I think this was actually pretty well done. So, and I did watch the thing. I was totally not Amber's type of movie, but I wanted to cover it because, like I said, I feel like I just want people to know that there's more than just the fluffy movies. So there you go.
And I'm fine just living in fluff.
Yeah. If this sounds like the kind of thing that you'd appreciate, then I think you'd like it. I think as far as I'm talking about our listeners, I think I know it. And I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Old Yeller. So I do have a softness for boys and their dogs and movies about dogs.
If we're going boys and their dogs, the only thing I can do is Where the Red Fern Grows. Oh. And even that I can't do. Oh,
that one's a good one. That one's a really good one. I love Sounder. I think that's a great movie. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think Old Yeller is actually a really amazing coming of age story. It's so well done. I love it. But yeah, there you go. So that's Duke. You guys, if you should check it out and let us know if you've seen it. What do you think about it? I would honestly give it like a 4 crowns. That was really well done. And I just appreciated that it just sort of told the story. It wasn't really all that emotionally manipulative as it could have been. There wasn't like sweeping music and stuff like that. Yeah. So there you go. That's all of them.
Okay.
So how would you rank the 4 that you saw? How would you rank them?
The 4 that I saw, so Meet My Mother was my favorite, and then All for Love, and then Operation Cupcake, and then my least favorite was For Love and Honor.
Yeah. Okay, great. For me, I would say my favorite is All for Love. My second favorite would be Duke. My third favorite would be Meet My Mom. And then Operation Cupcake, and then Love and Honor. So there you go. And so let us know if you guys have seen any of these movies, what you think of them. And like I said, if you have any other favorites for watching Memorial Day, let us know. Even if they're not Hallmark, just let us know and let's talk, and that'd be fun. And we just want to say like a huge thank you to anybody who is serving or has served in our armed forces. We just really appreciate what you do. And for the families that support people in the service, we're really grateful for all you do.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say more.
Okay, good. All right, good. Okay, so this week on the podcast, we're actually going to have a change of schedule. We were going to be doing our ranking of latest Chabert movies, and that will be coming, so look forward to that. But on Wednesday, our normal podcast, we are going to be doing a summer movie preview where we're going to talk about everything that's coming up on Hallmark Channel, on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. It's going to be super fun. So there you go. Look forward to that. And we'll have our Good Witch recap as well later on in the week. So that should be fun. So anyway, Amber, how can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and that's it.
Yeah, and you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. I have coverage of the new Han Solo movie, Star Wars movie on my channel, so I'd love for you to check that out. And yeah, make sure you're following us on social media, Hallmarkies Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and all the other places that you can listen to podcasts. And thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.